Hey everyone, so earlier today we looked at Karma, which is one of the two new heroes that we're getting in tomorrow's summon event. I think Karma is absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But alongside her, we also did, sadly, get a Light and Dark Legendary. I'm not super thrilled whenever they release heroes like this, just because they're really hard to get and they tend to be absolutely busted. Now, I've done some testing with this hero, and I think she is very, very strong. I don't know, though, if she's as good as, like, the twins or Oderic, but I do think she is quite strong. So let's talk about her a little bit, and then I'll show you some clips of how, her abilities kind of apply based on her descriptions. So she has this trait. It says, on the end of enemy's turn, switch to onrush mode if the hero's health is above 50%, and to ironclad mode if this hero's health is below 50%. So every time your enemy's heroes take a turn, she will switch depending on her health, right? So she has those two modes, onrush and ironclad. So whenever she's above 50%, she stays in onrush, and whenever she goes below 50% and your opponent takes a turn, she goes to ironclad. So when she's in onrush, she gains death immunity, and her attack is increased by 50% of her defense. So it's kind of cool to have a balance of attack and defense, because it will then be converted, into the attack. So that's kind of nice. I will say, though, the way that I think you should build her is probably more attack. But if you can have, some solid defense in there, 2,000, 2,500, she's going to scale really well. So she has death immunity as well while she's in onrush, but I will say that this immune to death is not like Oderic's, right? It can be attacked through with like Shark Solandre or Thor or Borden, so that's kind of nice. That is really important. And then when she's in this ironclad mode, she gains control immunity, and her defense is increased by 25% of her hero's attack. So it kind of just bounces back and forth, her tankiness between her attack and defense. So it's actually really cool. I do like that aspect of it. So the immune to control effects, I also tested with D-Hop, and you can use Desdemona to control her with her little nightmare puppet effect. It gets through this. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but it does, and I have some video to prove it. So pretty good trait. And then on her basic ability for her, what's that? We're onrush, for the onrush mode. So whenever she's above 50%, she deals 120% damage to an enemy, and then her damage scales with this character's defense. So that's the basic of onrush. I'll go through onrush first, and then we'll flip back to ironclad. So her special ability, it's on a 3-round cooldown. It switches in between ironclad and onrush, right? So you switch and gain bonus turns. This is similar to like Ashlyn, how she can switch in between light and dark mode. Same thing here. So she can switch to ironclad, or she can switch to onrush whenever she wants to as well, at least on a 3-turn cooldown. But whenever she's in that onrush mode, she also has a passive ability that says if the hero has onrush, there is a 50% chance to gain a 50% bonus life steal and launch a counterattack with the basic ability upon taking damage. So anytime she was hit while she's in her onrush mode, she has a 50% chance to counterattack and gain life. So that's pretty strong. Giving her some sustain and be able to keep above that 50% so she is immune to death. I think that's pretty strong. It's a really nice passive ability. I will say, though, that the RNG of it, the 50%, can be a good or bad thing. It does book up to 60%, though. And then her ultimate ability. It gains damage up for 1 turn and deals 150% damage to all enemies. And then if the primary target is the non-boss enemy, it applies this energy reversal debuff that cannot be resisted to them until the end of the next round. and then the damage dealt to a boss is increased by 200%. So if you're playing her in PvP, you will be able to put up this energy reversal debuff on your main target. So it's an AoE ability, but the main target will get this debuff. And this debuff is just nuts. So it says damage dealt is converted into healing, and healing applied is converted into damage until the effect expires. All this means is if you put this energy reversal on somebody, and I'll show this in a clip, if they were to deal damage to you, it would heal you instead. And if they were to heal their team members, it would damage them instead. So it's like the complete opposite. It's a crazy debuff. As you can see here, it's unremovable, and of course it's unresistible, because that's just how LDs are nowadays. If those of you are wondering, I'll show it in the clip. Shark Soul Andre does not cleanse this. He does counterattack, but his counterattacks actually heal you when this is on. So, pretty crazy. So that is Onrush. That's the Onrush side. So for the Ironclad side, whenever she's in Ironclad, below 50%, she deals 100% damage to an enemy and gains shield for 2 turns, and then her shield strength scales with this hero's defense. So pretty strong basic ability, get a nice shield on her, a little bit of tankiness. So for her passive, when she's in Ironclad, it says when taking damage, there's actually a 25% chance, or 30 whenever she's booked, to just completely negate the turn. So if somebody tries to attack her, there's a 30% chance that nothing happens. And then the next person can go. And 30% chance that nothing happens. I think the only thing that I didn't test, and I don't know if it's true or not, is if this passive is on a cooldown along with the switching. I don't know if just the switching is on a cooldown, or if the passive is also tied to it. I don't think it is, though. So yeah, pretty crazy passive on the Ironclad side as well. I think the Onrush side is strong too, though. So then the ultimate ability on the Ironclad side is it gains damage reduction, and that's upgraded to damage reduction 2, so 50% less damage, for 1 turn, and deals 150% damage to 1 enemy. If the target is a non-boss enemy, it again applies that energy reversal that we've already saw that can't be resisted until the end of the next round. So that's kind of how you'll heal up. If you guys are wondering how to stay above the 50% mark, so she has those 2 ways. You can either counterattack and gain lifesteal, or through this energy reversal. So, again, just like a really crazy kit. I will say, though, okay, there are ways to kill her quickly. One, you hit her really hard. She doesn't die, right? But she gets low. And then she'll switch to Ironclad, and then she's no longer immune to death. So then you can kill her. I think she's easier to kill than somebody like Oderic. So that's one thing. But the switching back and forth, it's kind of a weird mechanic. I'd say she's somewhat hard to play. But I think she'll be really strong in RTA, and probably really strong in like guild versus guild, just because they have that damage reduction buff. So whenever she switches to Ironclad, she'll put up 50% damage reduction on top of the damage reduction that's already there. So yeah, it's going to be like 80% damage reduction. So that should be fun. As for her gear, I do think that she's best in a dragon scale build with HP and things like that. You just want her tanky because she can do counterattacks, that gain her life whenever she's in that onrush mode. She gets damage reduction. I mean, she is just going to be a full-on tank, hard to kill if she's fully booked up and has dragon scale on. And then on top of that, of course, if she's ascended to, she gets additional buffs whenever she switches in between those modes. The scaling between the defense to attack and attack to defense. So, yeah. Anyway, but with that being said, I'm not going to play any arena games or anything like that. I just recorded some clips, and I'll talk to you about how that applies to what we just talked about in her trait. So let's jump over to those clips. So this first clip is just showing that she can get one shot through her immunity to death through somebody like Shark Solandre or Thor or Borden. So she's not in any gear right now, and you'll see the Shark Solandre just goes and one-shots her. So right through the immune. So that's a good thing in my opinion. All right, next clip. Okay, so this clip is showing the debuff, where if she puts the energy reversal on somebody, whenever they deal damage, you'll actually heal. So this debuff is nuts. So you'll see the damage here. Also, Shark Solandre doesn't cleanse it, but he does attack. You'll see all of the big heals from Shark Solandre there. Pretty crazy. And he just continues to heal and then damage himself because he's supposed to heal on his basic ability. So really crazy debuff. So in this clip, we're showing the same debuff. We're going to put it on Oderic because I'm going to show that whenever Oderic heals everybody, or supposed to heal everybody, whenever he gets hit with an AoE, he'll actually damage them. So we're going to bring in Ashlyn to do the AoE damage, and you'll see that he actually damages he damages the Holy Armor Virgil, Brand the Brilliant, and himself. So crazy. So in this clip, and thanks to D-Hop helping me test all this stuff out for you guys. In this clip, I wanted to see if whenever she got below 50%, if she would cleanse any of the debuffs. But also it allowed me to show that also there's the counterattack where she's healing herself, by the way. But no, I wanted to see, one, if she would cleanse the debuffs whenever she switched to 50%. And then I also wanted to see if she would be able to resist Desdemona's Nightmare. So here, we're just trying to get her below 50%. You'll see her switch stances, which is when she can't be controlled. So here she switches, right? So she should be done with this Desdemona thing here in a second, but you'll see that Desdemona can actually put this back up. So right there, she can't resist Desdemona's control. So interesting. I don't know if this is a bug or not, but it was an interesting finding. I'll have to let the dev team know and see if it was intended that way. But yeah, interesting. Alright, so this last clip is just showing that whenever she does switch to her Ironclad, which is the control immunity, when Cordelia is there, she will dodge the morph. So here, I'm going to switch to Ironclad where she'll have control immunity, and she tries to morph her, but she doesn't. So it's interesting that she can do this with Cordelia, but she can't do it with Desdemona. But I guess in regards to Ace, Cordelia is RGB and Desdemona is LD, and we all know that they're on different playing fields when it comes to coding. So yeah, that is Adeline, and I think she's really strong. I really do. Another busted LD character. So let me know your thoughts below. But yeah, that's all I got for you here today, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.